No matter what poll you look at, no matter which way you cut it, the American public is with the Republicans, the American public is with Donald Trump, and to a much greater extent than they were in term number one. And it's not just on the broad issue of immigration, it's on the specifics as well, in which the American public is with Donald Trump and the Republicans, and that is why Donald Trump is eager to take on this fight.
Yeah, that was CNN's Harry Enton on multiple polls showing American voters like what Republicans and President Trump are doing with border security. Let's take it right now. We want to head right to Lara Trump, the host of My View with Lara Trump. Lara, so the president is facing possible disruption this Saturday in D.C. of his celebration for his birthday and the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army. What does President Trump mean when he says this will be met by force?
Well, I think he wants obviously a peaceful situation in Washington, D.C. I think that what you've seen out in California is proof of what he's talking about. If people are breaking the law, they need to be held accountable, Liz. And I think that for the past 4 years, at least, it didn't feel like that was happening on a lot of fronts. You go all over this country, it felt like the criminals were ruling the streets. They were, they were basically given a get-out-of-jail-free card. There was no accountability. You go into a CVS or a Duane Reade in New York City, everything is locked behind plexiglass because people are just walking in and stealing things. We can't live in a country like that. And so whether he's looking out at L.A. at these riots and all of this destruction going on, or maybe he's referencing, this coming Saturday where we're hoping to have a great parade, a peaceful, Saturday evening. I think he means if someone is breaking the law, they're going to be held accountable. Lara,
it's really interesting because a Minnesota Democrat today tried to go after Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth on what's going on. She claimed that they did not need the Marines deployed in the 2020 riots in the Twin Cities. Lara, let's get your reaction to what Secretary Hegseth said. Watch this.
Mr. Secretary, we're both from Minnesota. I was in the Twin Cities during the riots that followed the murder of George Floyd. Tens of thousands of protesters took to the streets for days. Governor Walz made the decision to call up the Minnesota National Guard.
You are right. We are both originally from Minnesota, which is why I recall 2020 quite well, when Governor Walz abandoned a police precinct and allowed it to be burned to the ground. And also allowed 5 days of chaos to occur inside the streets of Minneapolis. The police precinct, ma'am, was abandoned and burned to the ground. And because of that, the National Guard was eventually far too late mobilized. And President Trump recognizes a situation like that, improperly handled by a governor, like it was by Governor Walz, if it gets out of control, is a bad situation for the citizens of any location. So in Los Angeles, we believe that ICE, which is a federal law enforcement agency, has the right to safely conduct operations in any state and any jurisdiction in the country, especially after 21 million illegals have crossed our border under the previous administration. ICE ought to be able to do its job, whether it's Minneapolis or Los Angeles.
I have limited time. I asked a budget
and they
question. Could the Secretary please address the budget?
All right. Well, she didn't ask a budget question, Lara. She asked about the Twin Cities and the rioting there. So isn't this exactly why the president deployed the National Guard to stop further damage in L.A. and why he deployed 700 Marines to protect government buildings? Let me back up. 25 people, or up to 40, were killed in the 2020 riots. There were billions of dollars in damages, including to the Twin Cities. But Democrats are downplaying all of this.
Yeah, well, first of all, I thought it was kind of disgusting that instead of actually talking about the budget, like she tried to throw in there at the end, right, they used this hearing today with Secretary Hegseth to try and attack President Trump and what's going on out in California. But look, if you go back, Liz, to the quote-unquote Summer of Love riots, and that's what they called them, of course, on the left and the mainstream media, those George Floyd riots, you're right. People were killed in those riots. There were federal buildings that were burned to the ground. You're just hearing about this police precinct. There were also countless numbers of small businesses that were absolutely destroyed. I'll never forget going to Minneapolis and speaking with a woman who for decades had a family business in Minneapolis. It was destroyed, and she said, I don't know what I'm going to do. We don't want that kind of destruction to happen out in California. When you don't have a governor who's actually doing something to stop it, when you don't have a mayor who's actually doing something to stop it, guess what? The president said, I'm going to stop it. He also also said something today at Fort Bragg that I thought was really amazing. He said, you know, your brothers and sisters of previous generations fought and died and bled their blood for this country. We're not going to let them destroy California in the way they're trying to do right now. His job as commander-in-chief, as president of the United States, is to keep every single American safe, to keep their small businesses safe, to keep federal buildings safe, to allow, as you just heard from Secretary Hegseth there, the federal authorities to conduct their jobs appropriately. And so it is exactly why he has sent the National Guard and members of our military out there.
Lara Trump, wonderful to see you again. Thanks for joining us and taking the time. We appreciate you so much. Be sure to tune in to My View with Lara Trump Saturdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox News.